Hello, you're listening to Over the Oxer podcast with Tracey Cole for all things to do with the mind for equestrians. So welcome to this third in the series of mindset tips about what to do pre-ride in terms of the days leading up to a ride, and then just before you get on. And then today's episode is all about what to do in those first few moments as you're riding. So if you've been preparing those days ahead, and if you've not listened to that episode, it's not last week, it's the week before. And if you've been thinking about what your ritual will be and how you're going to ground yourself and how you're going to use breathing, which was in last week's, then you're all set for getting into the saddle and using a little bit of mindset in the saddle. Okay, so the key to this is presence. Not perfection, presence. You've got to be present in the moment. And a lot of mindset is all about bringing us into that now moment. So I'm going to give you 3 ways to do this. And you can do all of them, you can do one of them, or you can do 2 of them, or you can swap it around depending on what you're doing when you're riding or what you feel like doing on the day. Here we go. So the first one is to use an anchor. An anchor is something that when you get triggered in some way, maybe it's something you see, something you hear, something you feel, then you have a certain response. And it's repeatable. Now, sometimes we have negative anchors and we don't respond well, but we're talking about positive anchors here. And we're going to anchor a word so that when you hear the word, you feel the emotion of that word. So if you choose a simple word that represents for you something that you're working on or something about how you want to feel, it could be focus. I like focus, that's one of mine. Focus, because it brings my attention back to what's happening in the here and now, not what might be happening in 2 minutes' time. But other words are things like flow, calm, together, breathe. Breathe's another one that I quite like, breathe. And each one of these words, as you say it, make sure that you bring out that emotion in yourself. So you don't have to necessarily be doing this only when you ride, of course. You can do it at work, you can do it at home, you can do it when you're driving. Just say the word, flow, calm, breathe. But rather than, sometimes we say the word breathe a little bit sarcastically, don't we? When things are just getting so busy and manic, we say breathe, but we don't necessarily mean it. But these words we need to mean and feel it. So my focus, it's almost like it does something to my eyes even. Focus. I can feel, it sounds really silly, but I can feel it in my eyes when I say the word focus. It stops me imagining worst case scenarios. It's like, whoa, I'm here. I'm in this room. This is where I am. Look where you are. And all the other words as well, they need to evoke something in you. So choose a word that either you're working on or something that really brings you into that present moment. And as you practice it, then once you get on board and you need that word in the moment, you only have to say it in your head. You can say it out loud if you wish, but you only have to say it in your head and it brings you back. You just need to remember to use the word. The second thing is called the check-in. In the first moments, when you're riding round, you've got your floor plan, you know what you're doing to warm up, you can start to check in. Now, people do this differently, and it's however it works for you. Some people will say, How's my breathing? Am I breathing into my pelvis, or is it really shallow and quick? How's my seat? How's my focus? So some people will have that check-in. Some people scan, from the top of their head. Where am I looking? What am I thinking about? How straight is my neck? How curved is my neck? How, is my head to one side? Are my shoulders down? And they go through their body. It's a body scan that they do. And because they do it so often, they can do it really quickly. Some people in those first few moments, and I mentioned this last time, will be thinking very much about the floor plan and checking in. Am I making these bends nice and smooth? Am I staying to my floor plan? Am I heading for the right letter in the arena, or am I a bit off by about 10 meters? Are my circles, so they're constantly checking in with the performance, if you like. But again, these things are great to ground us, to bring us into the present and get us out of our heads and that conscious mind whittering on and criticizing or starting to tell us things that we don't really want to hear. The next thing is to ensure that if you do make a mistake, and I'm thinking probably more like if you're competing or if you're in a lesson, none of these things matter in the grand scheme of things, but they may matter to us in that moment. When we make that mistake, think to yourself, that was interesting. What's next? And what's next is, what did I need to do? And if you've got an instructor or a friend with you, they can probably give you some advice, or you can chat with them. If I'd have turned in and got straighter for that jump, would we have cleared it? Whatever it might be. But your horse isn't judging that, that transition wasn't that clean, or that the centre line was a bit wibbly wobbly. They just respond to your state. So if you get into that negative state, then they think, oh, what's happening here? So the aim is to keep your curiosity going. So if you can keep curiosity going, oh, that was interesting. I missed that jump completely. I didn't realise there was a number 4 between 3 and 5. If you can keep that going and stay in the present and even have a little bit of a giggle, then that helps so much. Giggles are great because they release the nerves fantastically. Okay. And just a little bonus tip, and this is from timeline therapy. When you ride, your unconscious mind links the present feelings to past experiences. So every time you handle a tricky moment or a difficult moment, whatever difficulty it is, whenever you do it calmly, you're literally teaching your nervous system a new future. So if you do miss jump number 4 because you miscounted, then if you have a bit of a giggle, or you just calmly think, oh well, never mind, I'll just do number 5 instead, then you've taught your nervous system how it is when we go wrong. It doesn't matter. Let's have a bit of a laugh. That's how we respond. Okay, so let me know how it's going for you. Let me know what you're working on, what's working for you, what help I can give you. And remember, being present is so valuable in the saddle, more than being perfect. It's so much more about being present. And horses obviously are quite good at being fairly present. So when you're present, it brings them even more into the present moment. And if you'd like to go deeper into techniques that would work for you on a personalized basis, then have a think about working with an NLP practitioner or hypnotherapist for riding confidence or getting rid of self-doubt or maybe some low self-esteem or anything like that. You can always find me through my website, or my contact details will be in the description box below. So until next time, breathe and smile, take care, and I will see you again really soon.